Sometimes the people who love you the most are the ones who remain silent. They don't reach out, not because they don't care, but because of the weight they carry within themselves. Life gets messy, overwhelming, and sometimes love gets buried under fear or pride. Love is one of the most powerful emotions we can experience, yet it's also one of the most misunderstood. People assume that if someone loves them, they will always show it through consistent communication and attention. However, that's not always the case. Sometimes the people who love us the most are the ones who keep their distance or never reach out at all. This can be confusing and painful, but it's important to understand that their silence often has little to do with how they feel about you and everything to do with what's happening inside them. When someone loves you but doesn't contact you, it's usually because they are battling their own inner struggles. Life is full of challenges, and not everyone knows how to cope with them. Some people feel overwhelmed by their insecurities, convinced they aren't good enough for you. They might worry that they'll disappoint you or let you down if they re-enter your life. This fear can be paralyzing, leading them to choose silence over risking rejection or failure. Their love for you may be real, but their self-doubt keeps them from showing it. Others may distance themselves because they believe they're protecting you. They think their problems, flaws, or baggage will only bring you pain or stress. Out of love, they step back, believing it's better for you not to have them in your life. This self-sacrificial mindset is rooted in their belief that you deserve better than what they can offer. While their intentions might come from a place of care, their absence can leave you feeling abandoned and confused. In some cases, people don't contact you because they've been hurt in the past and fear being vulnerable again. Love requires vulnerability. And for someone who has been betrayed or deeply hurt before, opening up can feel like an unbearable risk. They may love you deeply but feel safer keeping their distance to avoid the possibility of being hurt again. Their silence is a defense mechanism, a way to protect themselves from emotional pain. It's also possible that their silence is tied to pride or stubbornness. People sometimes let their ego get in the way of meaningful relationships. They might expect you to make the first move, thinking if they really care, they'll reach out to me. This kind of mindset can create a standoff where both sides want to reconnect, but neither is willing to take the first step. In such cases, love exists, but it's overshadowed by pride and a lack of emotional maturity. Sometimes the issue isn't fear or pride, but simply a matter of priorities. Life can be demanding, and people often get caught up in their responsibilities, careers, or personal goals. While they may still love you, their focus is elsewhere, and they struggle to find the time or energy to maintain communication. This doesn't mean they don't care. It just means their attention is divided. It's not always personal, but it can still hurt to feel like an afterthought. There's also the possibility that they don't know how to express their feelings. Not everyone is skilled at communication, and for some, expressing love can feel awkward or unnatural. They might worry about saying the wrong thing or not being able to convey their emotions properly. Instead of risking embarrassment or miscommunication, they choose silence. Their love for you might be genuine, but their inability to express it creates distance. While it's important to recognize that people have their own struggles, it's equally important to understand that love isn't just about feelings. It's about action. Loving someone means making the effort to show it, even when it's hard or inconvenient. If someone repeatedly chooses silence, it's a sign that they may not be ready or able to fully participate in a healthy relationship. This doesn't diminish their feelings for you, but it does highlight the limitations of their love. You deserve to be loved in a way that feels fulfilling and secure. Waiting for someone to contact you, hoping they'll finally overcome their fears or insecurities, can be draining and emotionally taxing. It's natural to want closure or an explanation, but sometimes the silence itself is the answer. People show you who they are through their actions or lack thereof, and it's up to you to decide what kind of love you're willing to accept. Instead of focusing on why someone isn't reaching out, turn your attention inward. Ask yourself what you need and deserve in a relationship. Love isn't meant to leave you feeling uncertain or unworthy. It's meant to uplift and nurture you. If someone's silence is causing you pain, it's okay to set boundaries and prioritize your own well-being. You don't have to wait for someone to love you the way you deserve. This doesn't mean you should give up on people easily. Relationships take effort, and sometimes reaching out yourself can open the door to meaningful conversations and healing. However, if you've tried and the other person remains distant, it's important to accept their decision and move forward. Loving someone doesn't mean you have to wait in limbo for their approval or attention. Your time and energy are valuable, and they deserve to be spent on people who reciprocate your love and effort. When someone you love is silent, it can be tempting to internalize their actions and wonder what you did wrong. But the truth is, their silence is rarely about you. It's about their own fears, insecurities, and priorities. You can't control how someone else chooses to express or withhold their love, but you can control how you respond. Choose to focus on yourself, your growth, and the relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment. Understanding why someone who loves you might not contact you is a step toward healing and self-discovery. It helps you recognize that love, while powerful, is not always enough to sustain a relationship. Communication, effort, and mutual respect are equally important. When these elements are missing, it's okay to let go and make space for the love you truly deserve. Your self-worth should never be tied to someone else's silence. When someone who claims to love you stops contacting you, it can be easy to question your value. You might wonder what you did wrong, what you could have done differently, or why you aren't enough to inspire them to reach out. These thoughts can spiral into feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. But the reality is, their lack of communication often says more about them than it does about you. Love is a beautiful thing, but it's not enough to justify neglect. When someone truly values you, they will show it not just through words, but through their actions. Silence, on the other hand, creates a void that can leave you feeling uncertain and confused. Yet it's crucial to remember that your value doesn't diminish because someone else fails to acknowledge it. Loving yourself is the first step to breaking free from the hold of someone else's silence. This isn't about arrogance or selfishness. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and emotions are precious. When you prioritize your self-worth, you begin to see relationships in a new light. You understand that love is not about waiting for someone to choose you, but about choosing yourself first. When you start valuing yourself, you set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but guidelines to show others how you expect to be treated. If someone's silence is causing you pain, it's okay to step back and reevaluate the relationship. You don't have to chase after someone who isn't willing to meet you halfway. Respecting yourself means walking away from situations that leave you feeling unworthy or undervalued. Self-worth also means surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you. Relationships should be a source of joy, growth, and mutual respect. When someone consistently fails to communicate or show appreciation for you, it creates an imbalance that can harm your emotional well-being. Choosing to invest your energy in relationships that nourish you is a way of honoring your worth. It's also important to recognize that self-worth is not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about understanding that you are deserving of love and respect, no matter your flaws or imperfections. When someone doesn't contact you, it doesn't mean you're unworthy of their love. It simply means they aren't in a place to give it. This distinction is crucial because it shifts the focus away from what you lack and toward what you deserve. The journey to self-worth isn't always easy, especially when someone you care about is silent. Their lack of communication can feel like rejection, and rejection is painful, but pain often serves as a teacher, guiding us toward growth and self-discovery. When you experience the hurt of someone's absence, it forces you to confront your own needs and desires. It challenges you to define what kind of love and connection you want in your life. Choosing yourself in the face of silence is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-preservation. It's a way of saying, I deserve more than this uncertainty and emotional turmoil. This choice empowers you to take control of your happiness rather than waiting for someone else to provide it. It's about reclaiming your power and deciding that your peace is more important than someone's inability to communicate. One of the most liberating realizations is that you don't need someone else's validation to feel complete. Your worth is inherent, not something that can be given or taken away by another person. When you internalize this truth, you become less affected by the silence of others. Instead of seeing their lack of contact as a reflection of your value, you begin to see it as a reflection of their limitations. Loving yourself also means being patient with your healing process. When someone you care about is silent, it's natural to feel hurt, confused, or even angry. Allow yourself to feel these emotions without judgment. Suppressing them will only prolong your pain. Acknowledge your feelings, but don't let them define you. Use them as a stepping stone to greater self-awareness and resilience. Another aspect of self-worth is learning to forgive, not just the other person, but also yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning someone's actions or inviting them back into your life. It means letting go of the resentment and bitterness that can weigh you down. Forgiving yourself means releasing the guilt or shame you might feel for investing in someone who couldn't reciprocate your love. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of their silence. As you grow in self-worth, you'll begin to attract healthier relationships. When you value yourself, you set a standard for how others should treat you. People who truly care about you will rise to meet that standard, while those who don't will naturally fall away. This process might be painful at first, but it's ultimately freeing. It clears the path for connections that are genuine, supportive, and fulfilling. Your self-worth is not a negotiation. It's not something you should compromise on to keep someone in your life. When someone's silence makes you question your value, remind yourself of all the qualities that make you unique and deserving of love. Focus on your strengths, your passions, and the things that bring you joy. The more you cultivate your sense of self,